Hello everybody, it is the one, the only Divine Iconoclast, and today, we're reviewing an album. I got the album Beastland by Author and Punisher. That's what it says on my sheet of paper. So it's what I'm going to be reviewing. Just a quick notice, maybe for the next couple of videos or so, maybe just this one, I'm not sure. I might sound a bit weird, I'm a bit under the weather, I got a bit of a cold going on. So my already high-pitched and nasal voice is going to be even more high-pitched and nasal than usual. You know, making it for the best overall audio quality and voice quality and entertainment value ever. Anyways, to get into a bit of the history of the band Author and Punisher, they are an American industrial doom metal band. I can't tell you where they're from America, but I know they're from America. And it's just insane. If you've never heard of this band before, the dude who's it's a one-man project. And I believe the guy's name is Tristan Stone or something like that. I think it's Tristan Stone though. And he's like an engineer, and he's really smart. I think he has like a PhD or whatever. He's a scientist, you know, or an engineer. I don't know. I'm not a science guy. I don't know this stuff. My worst grades in school are always in science. Yeah, but he has the knowledge to literally make his own instruments. And it's not like, oh yeah, I'm making my own guitar. Like, no, he literally has an entire setup on stage where he basically, like, gets into this giant suit and, like, he moves his arm back and that can, like, he moves his arm back and forth and that controls the drum patterns. And he taps his feet a certain way or he yells into a certain portion of the microphone or, like, you know, he yells into a certain module and it makes a certain sound. I fully recommend looking up a live video of them. I'll post a live video of them down in the description of this because it's freaking insane to see him live. He's just incredibly talented. He makes all this stuff himself. And I believe this is their 6th album. The first one came out in 2010. It was Drone Machine. Then after that, it was Women and Children. Then it was Milk and Honig. Then it was Erasmus Americanus. And then it was this one. So either I'm forgetting an album or this is actually their 5th album. Either way, this band has a decently long career. At this point, they have an established sound. Very, very droning and heavy. Despite the fact there's no guitars in this music is incredibly heavy. Super duper heavy. And like that's always with Author and Punisher. They've never had an album where it wasn't super duper heavy. So the album kind of sticks to more their signature sound, which I don't have a big issue with, because I love their signature sound so much. And it's a signature sound for sure, but it's a unique signature sound and it's fantastic. It does, however, add in a bit more of an experimentation. Excuse me, with more melody in it rather than just being soul crushing. You know, heavy music, just bogging you down. Every once in a while, it's going to have a melody line here or there, or even some clean vocals, which have been apparent on other Author and Punisher records, but not to the extent that it was on this one. Some examples of that are the Speaker Systematically Blown, Nazarene, and Night Terror. I think this is an incredible fit for the band, and I feel like if the band continue with the melodic output later on, I just think it fits like a glove. I think this is something they should be continued doing, and the album quality will definitely increase. Not to say that the early albums were bad, not at all. They're one of my favorite bands of the past decade. But I feel like this adding a new melody and adding in a new layer into this music puts it at a new height potential. Though honestly, one of the only bad things I can say about this is that while it does add in the melody and stuff like that, some of the tracks on here get really, really repetitive. And they just want to repeat the same melody over and over again. And especially the song Night Hill Strength is incredibly repetitive, both musically and lyrically. I have no idea why that song was a lead single. I heard it whenever it first came out, and I was like, oh, this is an okay Author and Punisher song. And then I listened to the rest of the album, I was like, oh wow, this is one of the worst songs on the album. You know, yeah, just there's definitely a lot of repetitive moments in this album. And that's kind of to be expected because it's doom metal. But good doom metal repeats itself and makes it interesting. And while that is mostly the case on this album, sometimes it repeats itself a little bit too often, or the part it's repeating isn't as cool as Tristan thinks it is. Also on this album, a lot of the songs are shorter than usual. On Milk and Honig, which by the way, I think I'm saying it right. It's Dutch, so I'm not sure. But I think I'm saying it right. A lot of the songs are like 9, 10, 7, 8 minutes long, you know? And on this album, most of the songs are around 3 to 4 minutes long. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's Tristan going in a different direction, or maybe it's the fact that this is their first album on a big studio label, on a big record label, I should say, because before that they were signed to Phil Anselmo's record label. Now they're signed to Relapse Records. So maybe I wouldn't want to think that's the case, but it might be the case that the record label is making them go for a bit more of an accessible sound. Maybe that's also why they added in the melody. But also, I'm fully aware of the fact that it could be Tristan's ideas, and that's what I think it is personally. I'm just giving the idea that it could have been the record labels. Another thing I just want to say about Author and Punisher, and this whole album in general, they do this with all their albums, is that because Tristan is playing the music himself, you know, like with his own body and stuff like that, and everything's done by him, it's not programmed in on a computer, this is the most alive electronic music you will ever hear. Like, a lot of electronic music sounds soulless and vapid and stuff like that, but this music really has a soul, and you can tell. Like, something about it, you can just tell it was made by a person and not being programmed into a computer. And I think that's one of my favorite things about Author and Punisher, is that there's so much, like, just, they feel so alive whenever you listen to them. They don't feel like an electronic band typing things in and being like, okay, yeah, we need a D here, so I'll click this note on this fucking MIDI keyboard and have a D in there and then distort it. You know, stuff like that. There's also, on the production. Production is absolutely fantastic on this album, as usual with Author and Punisher. Their production's always really, really good. But it's not a big upgrade from their previous albums, which I thought maybe it might be because of the new record label. But as far as I'm concerned, Urisis Americanus, or Americana, whatever that album's called, their one from 2017, doesn't have that overall worse production value than this one. Yeah. Yet again, Author and Punisher has proven to be an amazing band. One of the best bands of this past decade, my favorite industrial band of the past decade, which them and Three Teeth are the competitors for that. If you haven't heard of Three Teeth, check them out. Three Teeth is an amazing industrial metal band from California. Fantastic. They also go on the more slower and doomier sides of things. But overall, they're more influenced by Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails rather than Author and Punisher, which is more like, oh, I like Nine Inch Nails, but I also like Candlemass and Paradise Lost. Fantastic album, though. This album is very, very good. The one thing that I can critique, besides from the repetitiveness, is that maybe Tristan could have gone a bit more outside his box, but I'm not taking off any major points for that. This album's not losing any. As far as I'm concerned, this album isn't any worse because of that, but if he would have went outside of his comfort zone a bit more, it maybe could have even been better. My favorite songs in here are Ode to Bedlam, The Speaker is Systematically Blown, and Night Terror. And my least favorite songs are what's the name of that song? Apparition, I think is what it's called. My bad. I wrote it really badly down on my notes. But I'm pretty sure it's the only song that sounds like that on the album. That's just, the song seems so hollow to me. Like, whenever I'm listening to it, I'm expecting there to be more instruments and more to come in, but nothing's there. It feels like something's missing throughout the entire song, and it's also repetitive. But it's not the worst one. The worst track on the album is Nihil Strength, which was the lead single, which I find hilarious. It's just super repetitive lyrically, super repetitive musically. Not an overall good track. However, the album overall is great. Overall, I'm going to have to give this thing an 8 out of 10. Make sure to tell me why I'm wrong down in the comments and be like my friend Joe and tell me that, oh, it's just a bunch of noise, I don't even see why it's music. Or you can, say, nah, this is the best thing that Author and Punisher has ever released. Or you can agree with me and make me feel happy on the inside, because we all know, deep down inside, all I want to be is happy. Goodbye.